The efficacy of online learning delivery modes among automotive students of Sorsogon State University. Rationale, background of the study. Introduction. Some of the students in automotive say that online learning is hard than face-to-face because they find it really difficult than the usual class, in which the lesson are being explained clearly by the teacher. While online learning, it is more self-study. Although teacher discuss it through Google Meet or Zoom, but it is not the same on what we typically do in classroom discussion.
These research may focus on determining the efficacy of online learning delivery modes among third-year automotive students of Sorsogon State University, and some of the reason of online learning is some of the student encounter of poor of internet connection, lack of money to buy load, and their parent don't have a permanent work because of this pandemic. The online learning is we can study anytime you want, and we can study whatever we want, and some students attend classes from any location of their choice. Additionally, online lecture can be recorded, archived and shared for future reference. This allows students to access the learning material at a time of their comfort.
Evaluating an online learning environment. Abstract of the study. This paper reports on an evaluation undertaken under the auspices of the cross-institutional CUTSD-funded project, which was established to facilitate evaluations of computer-facilitated learning with an action inquiry model of evaluation. Phillips, 2002. Our evaluation focused on students' learning processes and outcomes in an online learning environment established for postgraduate education students studying an open and distance education specialism in a master's program at Deakin University. Online conferencing has been progressively used in this specialism, and was an integral part of the program at the time of this study, which followed students studying online in 5 units.
The units had computer conferences established with first-class software for electronic discussion of tasks and activities, with the aim of engaging students in learning interactively. Our participation in the CUTSD project resulted from the need to evaluate the extent to which students engaged in the conferencing environment, as intended by the learning design. It was also designed to evaluate the effectiveness of established practice with a view to modifying it in response to student feedback. Write your discussion in terms of relevance of that related study in your intended research. These research may focus on evaluating focused on students' learning processes and outcomes in an online learning environment established for postgraduate education students studying an open and distance education specialism in a master's program. Opportunity and equality, intercultural and linguistic issues in global online learning. Abstract of the study. In this paper we investigate some of the ways that cultural and linguistic differences manifest themselves in global online learning environments. We start from the position that the providers of educational opportunity across national and geographic boundaries have a responsibility to consider how their materials and practices can help to promote cross-cultural understanding. We discuss some of the negative implications of taking a center and periphery view of participants in an internationally marketed online MA program, but offer some data on student performance to justify using that perspective to initiate a more in-depth investigation of their experience of cross-cultural interaction during the courses. We present some of the outcomes of a qualitative study of student talk about these issues, and identify the topics of cultural otherness, perceptions of globality, linguistic difference, and academic convention, as focal constructs around which their experiences could be recounted.
We discuss how to interpret these narratives, in terms of our aim of promoting cross-cultural understanding through online education, and also in terms of action needed to address perceived inequalities in the educational opportunity offered by the courses as they stand. Write your discussion in terms of relevance of that related study in your intended research. These research may focus on determining the advantage and disadvantage of online learning and some of the reason in disadvantage of online learning environment. This research say that we start from the position that the providers of educational opportunity across national and geographic boundaries have a responsibility to consider how their materials and practices can help to promote cross-cultural understanding. The design of online learning communities, critical issues. Abstract of the study. In this paper we discuss findings from evaluations we conducted and share lessons we learned as developers of online education during the last 10 years. The purpose is to analyze some of the complexities in the design of online communities for professional development and continuing education. We present STAR Online, supporting teachers with anywhere, anytime resources, an online community designed and implemented as a model for continuing education and professional development for teachers. This online staff development provides teachers the training, support and communication links necessary for the continued success in the classroom. Teachers can access mentors, colleagues and resources via a web-based virtual teaching and learning community (VTLC) system. A brief history of the project is presented along with a vision for the future. Practical components of the project and guidelines for those interested in establishing similar initiatives are discussed in detail. Finally, some characteristics of successful online communities and suggestions for practitioners are addressed as they derived from our experiences and evaluation work. Write your discussion in terms of relevance of that related study in your intended research. These research may focus on the design of online learning communities. Critical issues. Online staff development provides teachers the training, support and communication links necessary for the continued success in the classroom. Teachers can access mentors, colleagues and resources via a web-based virtual teaching and learning community (VTLC) system. Evaluation of evidence-based practices in online learning, a meta-analysis and review of online learning studies. Abstract of the study. Abstract. A systematic search of the research literature from 1996 through July 2008 identified more than 1,000 empirical studies of online learning. Analysts screened these studies to find those that, contrasted an online to a face-to-face condition, B. measured student learning outcomes, C. used a rigorous research design, and D. provided adequate information to calculate an effect size. As a result of this screening, 51 independent effects were identified that could be subjected to meta-analysis. The meta-analysis found that, on average, students in online learning conditions performed better than those receiving face-to-face instruction. The difference between student outcomes for online and face-to-face classes, measured as the difference between treatment and control means, divided by the pooled standard deviation, was larger in those studies contrasting conditions that blended elements of online and face-to-face instruction with conditions taught entirely face-to-face. Analysts noted that these blended conditions often included additional learning time and instructional elements not received by students in control conditions. This finding suggests that the positive effects associated with blended learning should not be attributed to the media, per se. An unexpected finding was the small number of rigorous published studies contrasting online and face-to-face learning conditions for K-12 students. In light of this small corpus, caution is required in generalizing to the K-12 population because the results are derived for the most part from studies in other settings, e.g., medical training, higher education. Write your discussion in terms of relevance of that related study in your intended research. These research may focus on determining the evaluation of evidence-based practices in online learning, a meta-analysis and review of online learning studies. Students in online learning conditions performed better than those receiving face-to-face instruction. The difference between student outcomes for online and face-to-face classes, measured as the difference between treatment and control means, divided by the pooled standard deviation, was larger in those studies contrasting conditions that blended elements of online and face-to-face instruction with conditions taught entirely face-to-face.
Statement of the problem. What is the level of satisfaction of automotive students with regard to online learning delivery mode? To what extent does the attitude of students affect online on the academic performance of automotive students? To what extent do faculty-student interaction influence academic performance of automotive students on online learning delivery mode?
Research approach as it aims to formulate a hypothesis around the impact of online learning on automotive students' performance. This study will also use the quantitative research method in order to quantify the level of satisfaction faculty-students' level of critical thinking and attitudes of automotive students towards online learning. The quantitative research is the process of collecting and analyzing numerical data and generating reliability Research design. According to Robinson, research design is the plan and structure of investigation so conceived as to obtain answers to research questions. The goal is the overall scheme or program of the research. A descriptive research design was used in this study, and according to Magenta, the primary purpose of descriptive research design to provide data on populations' characteristics or phenomena.
Participants, respondents. The study will be conducted at Sorsogon State University. The researchers purposely chose the selection of the study site because it is convenient for them and because they are also automotive third-year student. Data collection. The researchers made a letter for approval, and then after that, the study will then be conducted for 1 week. The instrumental that was used is a like-scale-based survey to gather the required data from the respondents. The survey will be distributed through a social media platform, specifically Facebook Messenger. After collecting all data, the researchers, with the help of statistic tabulation and tallying of the survey, the result hopefully with the basis for the researchers